but I've never been evicted before.
I thought she would be out by June.
I don't know that my body was going to do what it was going to do
Tell
with
her
this
she got to keep
pregnancy.
you on her property and make her do things for you that because you're pregnant. Ms. Fuqua, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions regarding Ms. Forbes. So you have a written lease with Ms. Forbes?
I do.
Okay, and at least the month and year that it was entered into?
It was June. The lease start date was June 27th, 2024.
Okay, great. And has the lease since expired, or?
Well, the lease is up June 30th of this year, 2025.
Okay, all right.
It's an automatic renewal lease.
I got it, Ms. Forbes, and give me one second. I'm going to ask her some questions and get to you. All right.
Okay.
Ms. Fuqua, tell me, then how much is monthly rent?
$1,795 a month.
Okay, $1,795. Is there a late fee?
Yes, the late fee is $50 a month.
When is the last time Ms. Forbes paid rent?
Well, she paid partial rent in March.
Mm-hmm.
And then she paid partial rent in April.
Okay. Has she paid any rent since then? Has she paid any rent since then?
No, sir.
Okay. And so the last time she paid in full was February.
Yes, sir.
And how much did she pay in March?
Well, she didn't pay in full in February. She lacked $15 in February. And so when I was calculating how much she owed, I just carried it forward.
Okay. So, so it's essentially, how much did she pay you in March?
In March, she paid $835.
Okay. And how much did she pay in April?
In April, she paid $1,000.
Okay. And so she's missing for May, 24 days in June, as well as this 1835. Well, no, whatever the difference is. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me see. Now, I will tell you, Ms. Fuqua, you've indicated on your complaint of only a judgment amount of $3,090, okay?
Well, that was when I filed it, but she owes June rent now.
I know, but you didn't put on your actual complaint that she would owe any rent in the future. Now, that may have been an error, but you did not correct that error. And ultimately, the judgment amount is limited to $3,090.
But that was what she owed when I filed.
I understand. So on the complaint, there are several spaces. It says, 1, judgment for past due rent in the amount of $3,090. And then it says rent accruing up to the date of the judgment or vacancy at the rate of blank. Or
well,
other
I thought she would be out by June 1st.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you filed a dispossessory action, a lot of folks will stay until they find out what's happening with the court. So it's an error that some people make. Sometimes it's a costly error, sometimes it's not. But I will say, based upon what you're asking me right now, it looks like you're going to be limited to the $3,090 because just with the amounts that she has not paid would exceed that, obviously, if you include June. So let me speak with Ms. Forbes. And Ms. Forbes, I see here, and I saw your answer. Are you dispute that your rent is $1,795?
No, I'm not disputing that. Obviously, I've been here almost a year, and I'm currently 8 months pregnant, and I have a high risk pregnancy. I was actually in the hospital from March because I have placenta previa, but I was due to spotting, but I was actually in the hospital from March all the way to June. I did submit those documents as proof. And it hasn't been an issue all of these months. I don't know that my body was going to do what it was going to do with this pregnancy. So I have been looking into rental assistance and all of those things. I never received a 3-day notice. I thought that the lease was just an automatic lease, just based upon what it states in the lease. The reason why I was ended up at court is because, of course, they put it on the door, and then, my household let me know. But I was able to pay like the money that I paid in March and April. I was able to just pay that just based off of not working, So I paid as much as I can. There is an issue with the HVAC system, it's faulty. Um, and on top of that, it makes the power and things go higher as well. So I did submit proof of like February and March. It was like bills of 1,300,
Bella, can I be honest
800.
with everybody? When you use your air, it goes up exponentially. When people tell me electricity going up because I got HVAC, yeah, it's
Well,
hot
it was a
outside.
faulty one. So this is what I was told from Georgia Power. So I don't know. But I was wondering why it started spiking and the HVAC system is faulty, which Miss Candace knows. But that's just pretty much it. As far
Do you
as
have
like,
air, or are you saying you just have expensive air?
the air would go like on and off because of, and water would leak in the garage because of the faulty HVAC system. So it was running more power. That's what I was told. It was running more power because of that.
Okay. All right.
But I've been here almost a year, and because of me being hospitalized, of course, that kind of put me back, but I still try to pay as much as I can. I'm back at work now, and I don't know, that's pretty much it. But I never received a 3-day notice or anything like that. I
So
thought
I
this was
will.
an automatic renewal of a lease.
So couple things.
Okay.
Let me ask Miss Fuqua. Miss Fuqua, did you send her a demand of possession?
The 3-day notice?
Yeah, demand of possession, correct.
Yes. Yes. I mailed it, and I also tacked it on the door.
Okay. And but and when did you do that? Do you know that when you mailed it?
Hang on. I have my copy. 3-day notice was on May 7th.
On May 7th.
Now that's when I put it on the door that day, and I dropped it in the mail that day.
Okay. And Miss Forbes, were you around, or were you in the hospital around that time?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Around that time, I would say like, I was around in and out, but nothing came in the mail and nothing was on the door.
Well, I have a photo of where I put it on the door with the number of the house on the photo.
And I'll be honest with you, Miss Forbes. I understand you. She's indicating that. I'm looking at your answer. I don't see where you've raised that issue. I do see the medical situation here, which, like I said, let me just be honest with you. Of course, we're concerned about you having a baby and having high risk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. It's not that the court doesn't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just the things that we can do in lieu of what your situation is limited. I can't tell her she got to keep you in her property and make her do things for you that because you're pregnant, right?
Right.
I got people who telling me they about to give birth the next day, and they got
Mm-hmm.
a day notice. So I just want to start there and say, look, we have great concern for that, and I really want you to have a well pregnancy. But ultimately, based upon the evidence and what we have, and again, I don't see anything in your answer about the 3 days. She's saying she sent it to you on the 10th. I mean on the 7th, which would be 3 days, but 2 days before she filed.
Well, after, not to cut you off, Judge, I'm sorry, but I've never been evicted before. So all of this is new to me.
I understand.
But after I went to like legal aid and I'm looking into rental assistance, that's when they started informing me of like the process. And then that's when I realized like, okay, so I never got this, but that was already after I already answered. But I have never been to court for this eviction or, never did on none of this, been
Well,
living.
I
So I
get it.
didn't know that that needed to be something that was provided to me in order for me to be able to, with this process.
Well, based upon the totality and the evidence and what I've seen, understand you say she hasn't seen it. She's telling me that she's mailed it and put it on your front door. You're saying you're in and out. Ultimately, we have a money judgment that would be less than what you would really owe, unless you're telling me you made payments differently than what she suggested or stated.
No, but I know that there has been like conversations of her telling me like she'll use the deposit. I just need to be out by the end of the month. And things of that nature too. So it's just been the reason why there's no solution is because she provides me with so many, okay, you can do this, you can do that. I
She
can use
keeps
the
giving you
deposit.
options. And see, that sucks because we don't want to say that, because what that really says is she keeps giving me options and I keep failing to really have the options.
Well,
So
the
that really,
options is to use the
but that, but
deposit.
listen to me. That
Mhm.
encourages people not to want to give nobody no options,
Right.
because you give it options and you still not resolving it. So people like, I don't want to give nobody no options because it seems as if it don't resolve. So this is
Well,
what we
she give me an option, and then if I agree to that option, she takes it back. That's the problem.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that the judgment's just gonna be for 3,009. All right, not the full, because she only asked for that. Even though technically she could be entitled to more, right? But you're gonna have to vacate by June 24th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and that's gonna be the order of the court. And we'll get you a copy of that in your email. All right. Now, if you want to appeal for some reason, you got 7 days to appeal. Okay.
And I can do that at the courthouse.
But you'll be required to pay $3,090 in the court registry in order to proceed.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Fuquan, Ms. Forbes, you both are free to go. All right. Mediators, I do understand that you do have a consent on one of these cases, Sylvia Smith and Oracle Atlanta. I will take that up to a second shortly, and I take it there is
Too often you speak with another party such as this, and you just can't seem to work it out. Don't resort to taking the law in your own hands.
We'll hear the litigants' reaction.